Hi folks, I'm Bob Benny.
I'm Jessie Thompson.
And we're both certified financial planner professionals with Bob Benny Wealth Management right here in beautiful Lincoln, Nebraska. Today we're doing a Bobcast. We've missed Bobcast for several weeks, but we're back to doing our Bobcast, which I know y'all have been missing. And today's Bobcast topic is what, Jessie?
The topic is windfalls, and we have to give credit where credit is due on this one because we kind of stole this from something that a friend of ours put out that's a financial advisory firm in Oklahoma, Gaddis and Associates, but it was great.
Roger Gaddis, to be specific.
It was great, and we come across this quite often where people receive a sum of money, whether it's an inheritance, mostly it's usually an inheritance.
Yeah.
But it's something, a windfall is an unexpected sum of money that you received that you didn't necessarily have to earn.
Yeah.
So,
or it could be winning the lottery, whatever, something like that, a big chunk of money that all of a sudden you got.
Drops in on you at once.
Yeah. And so Cerulli and Associates projects that $124 trillion in assets, trillion with a T, that's a lot, will change hands through 2048 with more than $100 trillion flowing from baby boomers and the silent generation to their heirs.
So a lot of people are going to be getting windfalls.
Yeah, some of you watching this maybe will be getting windfalls. And there's some common mistakes that we want to just kind of point out and give a little bit of advice on.
And the reason why is kind of like what we talked about earlier of the windfall being maybe whether you know that you're going to be receiving an inheritance or not, it's not something that you could have maybe counted on before you received it, and it's not something that you maybe had to earn. And so people look at that type of money psychologically different than money that they earned because it's almost like people think of it as like bonus money.
Yeah.
Like, well, I wasn't counting on this. And so because of that, I can kind of maybe feel differently about the way that I use this money.
Yeah. But one thing I think that I just thought of that we should point out is the people that some, like my parents died, your grandparents died, and they worked hard and they saved and they sacrificed and they saved a lot of money and they made good investments and they left me and my brother and sister with a pretty good chunk of money. Well, they didn't leave that money to us for us to just go and blow it. You know, they want us, as do most people that leave money to their kids or grandkids, they want you to be halfway decent stewards of it. Halfway decent or whatever. They want you to enjoy it, but not waste it.
Right. And so some common mistakes that we see when people receive a windfall of money is that the first mistake is that they make lifestyle upgrades like right away.
Yeah.
Suddenly they weren't expecting this money, they've got it and they feel rich. And so they make these different lifestyle upgrades that they wouldn't have made or felt like they could afford before they received this money.
Right. Sometimes what happens, because other people know, or maybe don't know, family members, friends know that you got this windfall, they come wanting a loan or a gift before any real strategy is in place, or you just want to give it to them.
Yeah, because
but you don't really
feel
have a
like
strategy.
I've received this, so you feel like, well, my parents or whoever left this to me was generous to me, so I want to make sure, like now I have more than I think I probably need, so I want to be generous with this too. Right. But they're like jumping the gun before there's any kind of a plan for the money, or maybe making a decision based on emotion where maybe it's not the best thing for the person that they're even trying to give it to. That kind of a thing. It's just making like an impulsive decision on the money.
Another one would be making investment decisions based on hot tips. Now that you have a chunk of money and your neighbor who's a plumber says he's got a hot tip on a stock, maybe you should just hold off on that and wait until you get some professional advice or something.
Yeah, not feeling like you can take a bunch of extra risks or should take a bunch of risks because you have extra money that you weren't expecting to have. Another one is spending money on short-term wants right away. Again, before there's no plan for the money, no plan for a spending budget, anything like that. Things like vacations, new house, renovations, new car, sometimes doing all of those things all at once.
Right. We've seen that. And then there's the other kind of the opposite end of that spectrum, paralysis by analysis, where people are so overwhelmed by the thought of having all this money that they just can't make a decision and don't do anything for too long.
Yeah, and this is like the other end of the spectrum where people think, well, I didn't expect to get this money, and I've lived very frugally my whole life, and so oh my gosh, now I have all this money and I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to spend it because I'm not used to being a big spender. I don't know what to do with it, so I'll just put it in the bank. And we've had people come to us and say, well, I got this inheritance that I inherited from my parents, 2 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever, and it's just
in the bank
been hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in the bank.
They haven't spent it, they haven't invested it, they haven't done anything with it because
except lose buying power because inflation's gone up over that time while they haven't made anything in the bank. So
we have 5 tips for you or someone you might know that might be inheriting or some other way getting some kind of a windfall. What's the first tip, Jess?
The first tip is to just kind of hold your horses. Like let the funds come into your name or into the account that you are inheriting or whatever, and just let it settle before you start making decisions on what to spend the money on or what to do with it. Like just breathe for a second. Don't leave it in there forever. Leave it in the bank forever. But don't make a whole bunch of plans for the money before you even have time to kind of take a breath.
Second is to get professional help creating a strategy. With a financial advisor, a CPA, maybe a lawyer. One of the things that if you don't already have, if you have a windfall of money, you're going to need to make sure that you have a good estate plan.
Trust.
For when something happens to you. Number 3.
And the CPA can help you with maybe people get worried again when they inherit money. Oh my gosh, I inherited all this money. I probably need to hold a whole bunch of it back for taxes. A CPA and a financial advisor can help you sort that out too. So the third one is decide the purpose for the money. So that's part of creating the strategy, and part of what we can help you do is the purpose of this money. Do you need this money for retirement? Can this money help you retire early? What's that look like? How much income do you need to be able to generate from it? Can you use this money for, do you have debt that you need to pay off? How much of this money can you use to do the things that maybe we talked about earlier, like renovate your house or move or things like that, or help your kids? But you need to figure out what the goal of the money is before you start doing stuff with it.
Right. And if you have charitable intentions, what does that look like? Those kind of things. One of the things to think about too is plan what we're calling a spending budget ahead of time. So what could be used on discretionary or non-needed money. So how much do you want to use of this money for fun, so to speak, rather than just have it all invested or designated or whatever like that. Just so that stuff doesn't get out of hand, that I have this $1 million, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. Next thing you know, you have $500,000 or whatever.
Yeah. So. Yep. And then the last one is just thinking long-term with the money, not thinking about necessarily what does this do for me right now, but what's the purpose of the money for the next 10, 20, 30 years? Do I want to pass this money on to my children, and how do we get there?
And like I said before, the person or persons that left you this money, if it's an inheritance, they had that money probably because they were really good stewards with their money, and they probably would like you to be a good steward with what they left you. So anyway.
Yep. So
anyway, that's our Bobcast for today on windfalls, and we hope it was helpful to you. If you found this helpful or know of anybody, you might share it with somebody that a friend or family member, and if they might be expecting a windfall, and we're always here to help anybody that needs our help.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Have a blessed
great
day.
week.